At the Arab League summit, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelenskyy called on leaders to join the Ukrainian peace formula. He also reproached some countries in the region for ignoring what is happening in Ukraine. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, countries of the Persian Gulf continue to be neutral. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman offered to act as an intermediary between Russia and Ukraine.
We already have a positive experience with Saudi Arabia regarding the release of our people captured by Russia. We can expand this. I'm sure that we can all be united in saving people from the cages of Russian prisons. Unfortunately, there are some in the world and here among you who turn a blind eye to those cages and illegal annexations. I invite you to cooperate directly with our country without any intermediaries.
Saudi Arabia itself, on the one hand, supported the UN resolution demanding the withdrawal of Russian troops from Ukraine and also promised humanitarian aid to Kyiv in the amount of $400 million. On the other hand, the Saudis are in no hurry to support sanctions against Moscow. We are talking about oil production. Earlier, the United States called on Saudi Arabia and other allies to increase its production in order to lower market prices and thus cut Russia's finances.
For the President of Ukraine, the presence at the summit of the League of Arab States has become a unique opportunity to present the position of Kyiv. The visit to Saudi Arabia, which wants to secure the status of the leader of the region, is intended to lay the foundation for strengthening bilateral relations with this state and to convince Riyadh to take a more favorable position for Kyiv. To implement this plan, the President of Ukraine invited the Saudi prince to Kyiv.
Following Ukraine's diplomatic actions, Russian representatives also plan to conduct their tour. According to Sky News, Russian Internal Affairs Minister Vladimir Kolokoltsev, who is subject to all sorts of foreign sanctions, visited Saudi Arabia without hindrance. Moscow is also closely following the visit of the Ukrainian foreign minister to African countries. According to Ukrainian diplomats, Russians are trying to dissuade the local authorities from supporting Ukraine.
Wherever I appear, the Russian ambassador comes and begins to say how bad it is that you had the Ukrainian minister here. Lavrov is following in my footsteps, trying to follow up immediately with the people I spoke to, and is planning a visit to Africa.
According to Kuleba, Africa is the space for a diplomatic duel with Moscow. After all, Russia has been sowing its propaganda in the region for 30 years.
Why are we doing this? Not only for political reasons, but because Russia is dispersing a lot of its lies and propaganda in Africa. For example, today I was asked whether it is true that Russia says that it is at war not with Ukraine but with the United States on the territory of Ukraine. I had to tell them the whole story. We need Africa's support in the international arena. Plus, Africa has economic opportunities. We want more Ukrainian companies to export their products to Africa.
The tour across the continent of the head of Ukrainian diplomacy will continue in Nigeria. There he will attend the inauguration of the country's president and hold talks with representatives of a number of African countries. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Христина Домбровська, UATV News.